Hello, everyone. This is Monsef Afker, and thank you so much for joining us in this new call of your divine uniqueness. And happy to connect with you again, whether on the live call or the replay. And also really excited that Sarah Ellingworth is back on the show. She joined us a few times ago this season, the beginning of this season, and also the last one. And I have to say, like always, the subjects that she brings are very, very inspiring. I really love the message that she brings, the energy that she shares, and the healing work she does, because it's she really touches on some subjects that sometimes we can feel triggered by, or maybe feel afraid, but the way she approaches them, it's very empowering, and it really reminds us of our true power as sovereign creators. And this is what I really love about her message. And today's subject is about psychic attacks and understanding and neutralizing the complexities of negative projections. And so yeah, she will be sharing about that, how it happens, or how it manifests, and also how can we either avoid it or have maybe like energetic self-defense and rise above those negative energies. So this will be empowering call. It's not about feeling victim hurt or feeling afraid. It's more about empowerment. And also we'll have a Q&A later on the call. So as always, if you are on Zoom, you can raise your hand by pressing reactions, then raise hand. If you are on the phone, you can press *9. And also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And for those of you who are new to Sarah, she is a master energy practitioner of the healing arts, intuitive healer, and shadow work facilitator. And so Sarah, welcome back to the show. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Yes, another episode of talking about a topic that can often be very triggering. And the reason I think this came up in our last podcast as well, talking about psychic attack. And I really wanted to go there because I think it's actually quite relevant to everyone in our daily life. There's a bit of I think, a misconception around curses and dark magic and, all of the weird and wacky stuff that can be perceived through the concept of psychic attack. But I think there's a real piece there that needs to be talked about around the power of our thoughts and what that is doing, so that we can engage and show up in life from a more empowered space, definitely engaging more responsibility for our thoughts and feelings and what we're doing with our energy. So psychic attack, essentially, in a very basic form, is literally just a projection of thought. And it's what we put behind, it's our energy that we put behind that thought and project it at another that gives it power. So there's two sides. There's the attacker and the person that's being attacked. And I know everyone's going to be showing up going, oh yes, I was psychically attacked last week, not being aware of when they've done it to another person. And I can guarantee you that we all have. Literally, we all have, because we've all had hard thoughts, we've all had hard feelings. And when we're not taking responsibility or even have awareness of what we're processing, we just literally energetically, we just throw it at that other person. We throw that at whoever we're thinking at. So my intention for this podcast is to really create awareness and self-responsibility around our thoughts and feelings and what we're doing with it, and how to manage it within ourselves, but also how to manage that energy that's coming at us, because we can't control anything or anyone outside of ourselves. And we're showing up in this space with everyone and their hard feelings and all the colors in between. What do we do with that? Like, we don't want to be, showing up in life feeling like we need to protect ourselves from everything and everyone, because that's not the point either. And that's not living from an empowered space. So I also did want to mention that I will do a clearing a little bit later towards the end of the episode. And we'll do a couple of things that will allow people to feel maybe a little bit more empowered when it comes to whatever issue they're really battling with or dealing with. So, yeah, I think I've already mentioned what gives psychic attack power. It's our intention, actually. You don't need to be a witch or a magician or, practicing dark magic to know how to even create a curse. A curse is literally just consecrated intention. So if you've got a real buildup of hate, anger, resentment, you've got some old, deep, hard feelings that are generating some energy, and then someone comes along, crosses your path, or you've done this to another person, you've crossed another person's path, and they've just gone boom, and all of a sudden you're in a world of pain. You might, and psychic attack can present in lots of different ways. So you may start to experience financial hardship, or all of a sudden you've got relationships blowing up, or just random stuff can happen, actually, because it can manifest in the physical, it can manifest through our mental and emotional bodies, it can manifest spiritually. So it's got a real blocking energy to it. Yeah, so it's a matter of when we're aware. I'm just going to quickly tune into what side of the fence I should go to. So being the attacker or the attackee, the attackee. So when you feel like you're getting attacked, it's being really aware of yourself. The more connected you are to how you're feeling, your thoughts, you can recognize when there's an intrusion coming. I've had the pleasure just recently of having this being done to me, actually. And it's from other people's insecurity, it's from other people's fear, where, you come along and trigger them in whatever capacity. And so that's when the attack is initiated. I'm very grateful for my awareness because I can sort of see it coming before it hits and I know exactly what to do. But for most people, that's not quite the case. They then experience that interaction of the energy and then go, oh, what is this? Actually, some people don't even have the capacity to do that. They just roll with it and are sort of caught under that wave of the psychic attack. And it can be really hard to come out of, particularly if you don't know what's coming at you. So one of the best defenses actually is your connection to self. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What is getting triggered? We talked about that in the last podcast. So that when something is coming at you, you recognize what it is, who it's coming from, why it's there, and you know what to do. I understand that that's a little bit further down the track. Not everyone has that scope. So bringing it back towards more you in your daily life, something happens and you start to notice a pattern, because psychic attack isn't always just a one-off hit. It's usually a pattern that can consistently come through. I've got several clients actually who are really dealing with financial loss as a particular psychic attack. Psychic attacks, like even when we've talked about entities and discarnates and interferences, they can't create, they just hook into a frequency. So it's the same as psychic attack. It can't actually penetrate unless that frequency is within you. And usually one of those opening doors, opening windows is fear and victim consciousness. That's what allows it to come in and take hold and wreak havoc. So if you can notice a pattern, if you see a pattern in your life that is outside of you, and it's a pattern, so it might be like these particular clients that I have with financial loss. It could be drama in relationships through no doing of your own, but all these things start to blow up. I think we actually had Tatiana, hey Tatiana, we had her here last time talking about a neighboring apartment that was projecting a lot of sort of dark energy into her space that she was feeling. So these energies, again, it's about recognizing what's happening, noticing the patterns, noticing how you're feeling, what's coming in, and then what to do about it. So one of the most potent ways of dealing with it once it's hit your radar is to up level your vibration. Now, I also understand that can be easier said than done, but really that is actually like full stop. That's actually what's going to help you get through. If you engage in fear, if you allow your victim consciousness to really take hold, engaging in that battle, your energy is locked in with that psychic attack and you're in for the ride. trying to push it back with anger, aggression, hatred, all the, all those colorful things, you're again just engaging in that battle. You're actually allowing it to penetrate even deeper into your being. So the other option you have, particularly if you're struggling to raise your vibration, is to bless. It's to send that energy back with love, but you are doing it cutting the cords, because obviously when we project energy to another, we're instantly creating a connection or embedding deeper those cords. So you send that energy back with love and then cut the cords. Send it back with love, cut the cords. You can also send them forgiveness of their behavior or forgiveness of their projections. So even in doing that, actually, that act alone is going to help you raise your vibration and come out of that battle state. I think we had a couple of comments. Oh, it's just Tatiana saying hi.
Yeah, just Tatiana saying hello. Hi, Tatiana. And
yeah.
I love what you mentioned, how we can respond. And I noticed that in a past experience I had earlier this year. Like I felt like huge rejection from someone, and then I felt God to just send love to him. And then he just changed. Started talking to me, smiling, and yeah, it was interesting to see that. Yeah.
It's actually a really powerful, really beautiful exchange to do, no matter what is coming at you. When you can send back love, or you send back forgiveness or compassion, even, it's just sort of witnessing when you again witness another person's behavior and they're showing up with their pain and they're making it about you. If you have the capacity to not take it personally and look at the behavior for what it is, then you have more space to go, I have compassion for your pain. I'm not tolerating it, by the way, like boundaries, but you can actually send that back with compassion. And I have a bit of a thing on this point, actually, too. I did want to go to, there are a lot of teachers out there who, and I met quite a few of them in my early days. It's all the love and light stuff and the blessings and and that's lovely. But I've really come in with, I've learned very strong boundaries. I had to. And and also too, working through that empath frequency of, I'm not responsible for you. I'm not responsible for your pain and your suffering, and I'm not here to transmute it for you. I'm not here to do the work for you. I will help you, but I'm not doing it for you. So I will send the energy back with love, but I'm going to boomerang it back. That's a form of protection as well. I'm not responsible for what you've sent for me, and I'm sending it back with love. Now, what that does is it actually amplifies the energy. So this is how karma works. And I'm not here to serve karma. That's not my job. It's not my responsibility. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying thanks, but no thanks. And I send it back. I bless you with love. So whatever you have sent me, you are going to get back tenfold. The more powerful you are, the more power that boomerang has. So if you are sending someone hate, if you are sending someone that frequency of psychic attack, and they have the capacity to send it back to you, it's going to hit you a lot harder. And even if they don't do it consciously, that literally is karma. Whatever you sow, you reap. So whatever you send out, that's what you're going to get back. So if someone sends me love, I'm going to send that back tenfold. So they send me love, they're going to get tenfold back of love. If they send me psychic attack, they're going to get tenfold of psychic attack sent back with love. I'm powering it with nothing but love, but I'm saying thanks, but no thanks. So therefore it's like, sender beware. So because I had to really sit with that, because then I was like, well, does that make me a bad person? If I'm like, I'm not going, oh, I'll send you just love, like love, love, love. I'm like, no, I'm doing the thanks, but no thanks. You don't have permission to send me that energy. You do not have permission to penetrate my energy in that capacity. I'm not accepting it. Thanks, but no thanks. And I bat it right back. So because the other train of thought was, you just send that, you just transmit it back to the divine. I'm like, again, I'm not doing your job for you. You need that energy to learn the lesson. Whether you learn it or not, it's got nothing to do with me, but I'm not actually accepting that energy either, because that's not my vibration. So yeah, I had to really sit with that and question, well, is this wrong? Like, is this, am I doing something bad? Like, am I hurting someone by sending this back? And I'm like, well, no, actually, I'm not responsible for what goes back to them. That's their own energy being sent back again, return to sender, boomerang, whatever language you want to use. So, and for me, that was empowering. I was again doing it with love and doing it with intention and doing it with releasing the cords. But whatever happens on the other end of that, that's up to them. So, because it's their lesson, and we're not transmuting it. We're not doing the work for them. Transmute, sorry, this is the wrong word. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that might
Yeah.
trigger a few people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, sometimes we think that if we have the other person, they will change. But also from my experience, it really doesn't. Like, because it happened to me before, and they took it as a weakness, and then like it's for them it was like something I had to do. It was my job, and if I stop, felt for them. It's like I'm not doing something right. Until I had to put boundaries and I stopped communicating with them. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Like everyone
Yeah,
is responsible of their path, their traumas, and yeah, we can give
yeah,
guidance if they ask for it, but it's their job.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And that's a big lesson I think a lot of people learn the hard way is that, and a lot of particularly women do this in relationships. Yeah, we see the potential in people. No. You see who they are showing up as in that given moment. And the more real we can be with ourselves, the more transparent we can be, the easier it is to have those hard conversations. And again, taking responsibility for ourselves and how we're showing up allows us to have better boundaries and actually have more open communication and open, honest, transparent relationships. But it's easier said than done. And, there's a lot of people I've met on the spiritual path who, highly evolved spiritual beings who really struggle with this concept, and have all of their hard feelings and have all of their projections. And it is what it is. It's just part of being on this planet, a planet of duality, and everyone's got their hard stuff, and we're all learning. I think that's the other thing. It's like even one of the biggest things for me in my path was learning not to judge myself in my learning. There's been lots of times where I've had experiences, and not that there was one experience where I was playing with a technique like that's how I learn. I play, I practice, I experiment, I push the boundaries. It's how a lot of my techniques have been developed. And there was a particular technique that I knew, I knew that it was like, I'll say controversy, but that's being nice. But I was testing it. I didn't know. I actually genuinely didn't know what the consequences would be of using this particular technique. And it was pretty big actually, but it also bounced back on me too. I could feel that. And I sort of I went, oh, sorry, like, forgive me. And the divine actually went, there's nothing to forgive. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I just did something bad. And they were like, but you're learning and you're recognizing the learning in the process. So there is nothing to forgive. So part of it was like, oh, I got off scot-free. And the other part of it was like, actually, no, that was a really valuable lesson. So the reason I highlight this is because the more awareness we have of our thoughts and feelings, the more power we are engaging, the more power we are owning and utilizing in the way we show up in life. So this will help you, again, raise your vibration and have more authentic and open exchanges with yourself and with others. When you're aware of your hard feelings, have your hard feelings, but what are you doing with it? Are you actually processing it in a healthy way and taking responsibility for that? Or are you projecting it through anger and poor behavior and having a tantrum, giving the silent treatment? You're doing all the colorful stuff, instead of actually processing your hard feelings, because they're yours. They're triggering your beliefs and all the things that are not quite sitting right or haven't been healed within you that need to be addressed. So getting back to the cords that we can project to another when we're having this, I mean, this doesn't even need to be negative. This is just any thought that we have when we're thinking about someone, we're projecting a cord to them. And the more we think about someone, the greater that cord becomes. And that creates part of that energetic exchange, which can be, created and destroyed over and over again. That's good. Even if you can do this with family members and you think of your parents every day, and that every day, that exchange keeps building and building into that connection and the quality of that connection. If you want to change that, if you want to change the dynamics and how you relate to each other and the energy that you send each other, then cut the cords, release, send back with love. Because again, even though they're your parents, you're still not responsible for their thoughts and feelings and their lessons. That's another really hard one. It's fascinating when I see that with people who, particularly empaths do it so much, where we really take responsibility for even when we have a feeling or we have a thought and how they're going to react to that. I'm like, so let them. What are you doing? That's not your responsibility. Like pull it back. But you can work on consciously the cords between you so that is releasing whatever has happened, and you release that from you between you so that you can create another new connection of a higher frequency with the tone of love coming through your connection, through your thoughts, through your feelings. So if we take that then to someone, let's go to a relationship then that you're really struggling with. And that could even, like, I'll go to Tatiana with her neighbors. So probably doesn't know them. They may not be very nice people, as in, that's a judgmental comment to make, but do you know what I mean? Like, her perception of those people are very low vibrational and they're sending out, hard energy for her to handle. So we don't know them very well. Our perception of them is pretty low. And this is an ongoing battle that we're dealing with every day. So what are we doing in that exchange then to learn? How are we learning? How are we growing? Recognizing the triggers. What are the thoughts and feelings that you're having come up? Because without that awareness, we're then projecting that right back at them. Does that make sense? So if you've got someone who's sort of coming at you with some hard feelings and coming at you with a bit of an attack, your reaction to that is actually going to play right into that frequency. So this is where, when we can take responsibility, we have the awareness to go, okay, this is not cool. I don't want this. I don't want this exchange. I don't want this interaction. I don't want to feel like this. This is not what I want for myself or my life. Then we go into learning the tools and techniques that we can utilize to strengthen our energy, to strengthen our whole existence, really. I think we did a bit of a clearing for Tatiana last time on her apartment, but actually going, like what we've just been talking about, going back with love, thanks but no thanks, and sending that energy back, doing what you need to do to set up a grid or align the energy of your apartment to a really high frequency and get really clear in your energetic boundaries. So sending it back with love, cut all the cords, send it back with love, thanks but no thanks. Sending it back with love for you to receive this in its entirety. Whatever that means, you're handing that over to the divine. I know Tatiana wanted to ask a question. She's just put her hand back up, so I might.
Yeah. Tatiana, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good to see you again. Sarah, thank you so much for your help. I feel more resilient now, but I'm still being attacked. And there is still this device that I was talking about. It's still working. So I would love to release anything that is triggering this device. This device transmits destructive energies, frequencies of death.
Sorry, say that again.
This device that is working in the apartment above mine, where these black magicians live, it transmits destructive energies, frequencies of death, and I can feel it anytime it goes on. I can feel it, and I think one of the reasons is my father did satanic ritual on me. It was satanic ritual abuse, and I have self-hatred towards myself and towards him, and I think that's what is triggering. So I would love to release it.
Yes. Yep. Beautiful. So what you're thank you for sharing. And I want to highlight also, I think I mentioned it before, the frequencies that can really allow an attack to sort of anchor in and really hook into our energy is the victim consciousness and the fear consciousness, and even evil consciousness. And I know that always freaks people out when I say that, but it's actually really quite common. And it's where we've provided access. It's feeding off our energy, and it's controlling our thoughts and feelings, which is predominantly fear-based. So I do want to highlight one of the things that you mentioned was that destructive death frequency that you can feel coming out of it. And again, if we come out of the fear perspective, the natural cycle of creation is 50% destruction. We need to destruct so we can create, and it's just a constant evolution of destruction and creation. So it's not even, like I would say, it's a frequency that it doesn't need to be feared. It just, you just need to have this, again, it just floats right on by. It's recognizing and respecting its part in our ecosystem of life, but that it doesn't have hold or space within your being. So I love that you've got the awareness of the impact and the trauma that you have from your lineage. And I think you mentioned it was your dad. So this is the part where doing the healing, the inner work for yourself, healing and forgiving your dad. And whether that's the ritual abuse was directed at you, or whether this is just a frequency that has come through your DNA lineage, the more you can lean into that and heal it and move beyond the right and wrong of that, actually, the more freedom and the more power you have to allow those other frequencies just to float right on by. It won't have any space or opportunity to anchor into your life or into your apartment, because that's just, again, a hard boundary. Thanks, but no thanks, and you send it back. So can you see the more you can lean into the healing work and clearing up yourself and your energy and the frequency that you operate and your belief systems, it gives you more access to a higher vibration, and that actually transcends the fear, the attacks, the negative emotions and thoughts that can be projected at it. Just it offers you more power.
Yes, I have been doing radical forgiveness on my father long before actually I realized that what he had done to me. But still, something is still triggering this attack. So I guess there is something I'm not aware of.
Yes. Yep. All right. Cool. Well, I would say I'll do a clearing sort of towards the end of the session. So hang out for that, and I can talk the whole group through how to show up in a very personal and individual way within the group setting for you to release as much as possible regarding that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tatiana. And thank you, Sarah. And maybe another, I don't know if this is a question or a comment from Lara on YouTube. Hello, the last few days I felt uncomfortable in a friendship, and it came to my awareness that I was possibly being courted.
Yes. So what to do? Is that what we're asking? What to do if someone is hooking in or?
Yeah, that will be a good question.
Yeah. There's lots of ways we can do this. I want to say there's no right or wrong way of doing it. So in any given moment, because there's so many courses, there's so many things that you could learn in a very structured way that will provide you with the insight or the guidance on what to do. My advice, just give it a crack. Just do it. If you can feel in that moment, and it needs to be in the moment, that is the most opportune time to do it. There are lots of practices that are like, oh, reflect on the day and what happened. I'm like, end of the day, that's too late. Like, it's the energy's gone, the moment's passed. So this is my point. When you are aware of how you're feeling and what you're feeling, do it in the moment. So when you feel that hook coming in, when you feel the cord coming in and it feels uncomfortable, you don't like it, there's a negative frequency to it, or it's low vibrational, or you think it's an attack from an entity, or whatever you think it is, you grab it in that moment and go, like, you can ask, what is this? Or you can even just, you don't even have to engage. If you know that it's low vibrational or from a person that you don't want to receive from, you block it straight away and release. And it's as simple as that. Hook within your energy, wherever it is, you feel it being released out of your whole being and falling out of you. Like, you literally hold that intention. So I want to highlight too, this is like your body doesn't, like my arm doesn't end right there where my skin looks. Like physically, sure, but the energy of my arm is actually all the way out here and beyond. So we're just balls of energy. So don't get caught up in the desert. Oh, it's caught in my liver. Well, sure, but it's probably caught in your whole solar plexus as well. So it doesn't matter. My point is, don't get caught on the details. As soon as you pick up that there's a cord there that you don't want, because we've got cords everywhere, by the way. Like, you're a whole being of cords. We are. Because we've got attachments to everything. We've got attachments to our house, our car, our children, our families, our jobs, the local shops, I don't know, everything. We've got attachments to everything. You've got cords coming out everywhere. So find the cord, doesn't matter where, but your intention and feeling into it, feeling into the roots of it. Why? Why is it hooking into you? Not why is it coming at you, because that's got nothing to do with you. That's a projection of someone else's stuff. What is it within you that's allowing that hook to come in? So if there is a hook of jealousy, jealousy is a really popular one with a lot of friends and siblings as well, and even parent dynamics. We can have a lot of jealousy being thrown at us. So what is it within you that's attracting the frequency of jealousy? What is it? Where's the inadequacy? Where's the imbalance? What end of that cord are you holding for the connection to be made there? So that is how you do the work. You feel into that part of you, and with forgiveness and compassion for yourself, you then extend that to the other person and you feel the release. You can say, again, whatever you need to say. I release this from my being. I release this between our exchange. You can visualize a really nice basic exercise to do between two people is to actually visualize the person in front of you and feel or sense where the cords are. So again, they could be everywhere. They could be coming in from your back solar plexus, hooking around to them. It can be from your head. It could be anywhere. It can be from, your leg over here to their arm over there. It doesn't matter. But feeling into all of the cords, and you might want to feel into the connections. Like, what is the quality of the connection? Sometimes I can see rope. Sometimes they're chains. Sometimes it's liquid or sand. It can the frequency of the connection, like, that's just my perception of how I'm receiving the quality of the energy. But the point is to feel into it. What does it feel like? What do these connections and cords feel like? Why are they there? Like, what is there something, again, you want to know what is it within you that's creating the opportunity or the space for them to hook in, and then release it. So you can actually feel all of those cords within you just dropping out, and you have to really hold the intention, and that's all it is. It's just holding the intention for the release and to feel them falling away with forgiveness, with compassion, again, for yourself first, and then extending that to the other. Some people find it easier to do the other way around. But really the only person you're responsible for is you, and why you've created space for that hook or cord to come in. So then once you feel like all the cords are released and dropped away, and you've done some forgiveness work, or you've done some releasing, I release you. I no longer need to learn about myself through you in this way. I let you go. And then you can feel that person. You can put them in a bubble, or you can just feel them floating away further and further and further away until they just become nothing. They just go back into creation as neutral energy. And that might be something that you can do every day. I find if you do that consistently with a hard relationship, what you'll notice is that the person gets further and further away. Each time you connect in, you're like, oh, wow, they're all the way out there. So they're not as close anymore. Their energy can't actually come in as intensely or with such impact because you've really thinned out that connection. So keep doing it. If it's, again, a hard relationship, you want to keep doing that until they're eventually completely out of your system and out of your energy, out of your auric field. And like I said before, I just want to go back to doing it with love, but then cutting the cords again. Whenever you send energy back to someone, and it's sending back, it's the boomerang, it's the return to sender, you're doing it with love, but then cut the cord. And you can literally just do it as quickly as that. Like, just cut. You can call on Archangel Michael if you want to with your sword. Cut. It doesn't matter. The intention is just that it's cut and release. And even if I'm using my own sword or I borrow Archangel Michael's, I cut and then I bat them away. I just push that energy even further. It just moves faster. That's all. Doesn't matter. But really, there's no, well, I want to highlight, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's all about intention and what energy you're generating behind that intention. So that's where it's really important to do it with love, because that's your karma. If you send that with aggression, you are going to get that back. And that's not even just from them. That's the law of karma. Whatever you give out, you get back. Whatever you want to receive, you give. So I hope that helps. Was it Lara with her?
Yeah, Lara, sure. Thank you. And
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer. It comes up because many times you mentioned, like, we want to respond by aggression, or the other person needs to be punished for what they did. And you talked earlier about our relationship to ourselves and self-love, and there is nothing to forgive. And I think this is what helps us to choose to respond with love more easier than having that reaction of the other need to pay for what they did or something like that.
Yeah, it's a hard one, particularly with really big lessons. Like, I always feel for families who've lost a loved one, and if it's through a domestic violence or some sort of abuse, or there's just some sort of tragic death, car accident by a drunk driver, whatever. And there is very often family members left who are seething. They're seething in their pain at the person who took their loved one away. And I always find it fascinating when I see people who are really, there's always one where they're just deeply forgiving of the person who committed the crime or whatever, which is always such a beautiful representation of a very big, mature, open heart. And there's lots of complexities to that as well in how they get there. But I'm highlighting that I understand it's not easy. When we have our own wounding and that is unhealed or unrecognized, and even with trauma in there as well, because trauma makes it even harder to reach a level of awareness. The natural instinctive reaction is to attack right back and to send that aggressive energy back. Like, unfortunately, it's sort of where humanity is. But when I say unfortunately, actually, it's not a negative thing, because I want to highlight we're beyond the days of kill or be killed. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're safe. We're generally safe on this planet to walk around and know that we're not going to be murdered. Wasn't always like that. I want to say it was not always like that. So we've actually, as a species, humanity has come a long way. But we're still in a space of developing self-awareness and the ability to take responsibility for our feelings before we project. So I can see.
Laura, she wrote, interesting. I hadn't considered jealousy, but have had that in the past as well.
Yeah, jealousy is quite interesting. Jealousy can be quite striking. It can be really because when you're on the receiving end of psychic attack, it can be very uncomfortable. I mean, I know for me, because I'm quite sensitive, even for many years when I felt it, it shows up differently now, but previously it actually can be really ouchy. it can really hurt, and the energy of it is very sharp. So that's usually how I previously have felt jealousy. Gosh, I was like curled up on the couch one time. I had lunch with a friend, and then all of this jealousy got projected at me, and I literally was in incredible pain on the couch, and I couldn't get up for like 2 hours. So that wasn't fun. But that's the frequency of jealousy can be very sharp. So can anger, and so can hatred, but even that's got a slightly different. I think it's more rage. Rage can be quite sharp as well, I want to say. I know I've had a few clients even recently with psychic attack, and they've had like that real stabby feeling in the crown, and it's sharp. It's a sharp frequency. It's not pleasant to experience. Experiences, it's part of our learning. That's part of actually getting to know yourself. That's developing your sensitivity. So, there's always opportunity to learn and grow, even in a negative experience. So that's how you can shift yourself from being a victim to, oh, someone's like stubbing at my crown, to, wow, that's interesting. Don't like that. What do I do to fix it? What do I do to change it? How do I show up differently to not have this experience again? And the other piece of that is having a community around us, and having, people that we can call on when we are having a moment of, I need help. I definitely have that. And that has been, a real savior. We're not supposed to do everything on our own as well. So when you are having those moments of, oh, this hurts, call on someone who is showing up in a similar way to you and going, can you help me? Whatever you need to do to get through that situation, to then get to the other side of it and go, well, what was that? Why did that happen? How did that happen, within myself, that created this experience? Again, you can't control the person who's coming at you, but you can send them on their way, cut the cords, bless. And what you're doing in that space is, again, elevating your energy, so you're no longer an energetic match for them to project onto you, for you to engage in that same experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lara. And let's see. Do we take a question, or maybe I think maybe we can talk about the program, and then we continue with the questions and the clearing?
Yeah. I'm just reading.
Yeah. I can read that. So it's shows my freedom and lack of conformity with social norms triggers others every time I am in public. Others call out to me from control or righteousness on their parts. I am triggered for many. Any thoughts?
Welcome to the club. I'm much more comfortable at being a trigger now than I ever have been, and I actually I'm really okay with it. So that actually, interestingly, because I was doing some prep work for another session around power, and that was actually one of the things that came up, was not conforming to social norms, or not conforming to what's considered appropriate by, mass consciousness, whatever. And the projection that can come at you from that perspective. And I would never, ever say to hide your truth. You need to own your truth and just do you. But I think for me, in that respect, because for you, it's triggering power. It's actually a relationship to power. And when you can do you unapologetically, your relationship to that exchange, when you're the trigger, will shift dramatically. I know that from experience, because again, you can't control anyone outside of you, and your belief systems around being the trigger need to up level as well, so that you can hold space for other people to have their hard feelings, not take it personally, and rise above that frequency. So that is it's an interesting part of the psychic attack process, because it technically is, but it's also part of the path of spiritual ascension, spiritual mastery, and being a game changer, being a representation of doing things differently or another way. But I also think that there is a level of maturity that's required in that space to show up and do you unapologetically, but you don't need to push it in other people's faces as well. I think that's just being that antagonistic trigger. Whereas I would say be mature in your choices as to how much you want to reveal and when. And that's, again, not about making yourself small or hiding the truth of who you are. It's that it's a privilege. It is a privilege to see all of you and know all of you. And you get to choose who sees that. So you make the choice in how much you want to reveal. Or do you just move on to another space, another place, another group of people who resonate more at your speed? Because that's the other piece as well. So for me, it's like that really happens with my family. I don't like the black sheep analysis, but that's pretty much, you know, being around a group of people who don't really know what I do and don't really understand what I do, and you know, my beliefs are now very different to theirs, so it can be quite triggering. But it's really on my terms now as to how I show up and how much I share and how much I want to reveal and how much I trigger. So I'm doing it again with compassion and love, but it's on my terms, and I'm not triggered by their behavior. They're more triggered by my behavior, but I can control. It's not about control. It's just showing up with grace, really. That's, I think, the point that I'm trying to make, is showing up with grace. Whereas in my personal life, or the people that I do choose to associate with, more my speed, and, you know, there's less conflict, or no, I don't get conflict in family, but it's you just, they're people you probably wouldn't choose to associate with outside of the family unit. In saying that, generally, I do want to highlight majority of everybody in the family are friends. It's just the way I show up. I show up in a way that allows me to enjoy that friendship with them. And then I am more of my true self over here. So it means that certain people in my family don't actually get to see the truth of who I am. I'm really okay with that now. Like that, actually, there was a big sense of rejection in that piece. Whereas now, because I'm more comfortable with who I am and how I choose to show up, I have more say in my experience. I get to choose my experience, which is completely different. So now there's more grace, there's more ease, there's more enjoyment in those connections. And I have compassion for them in the limitation that they have in where they can meet me. And so in these other arenas, I then get to choose people who can meet me on a different level, and it's more engaging and fulfilling. So I get my needs met all across the board, if that makes sense. So it's, yeah, I would say definitely look at your beliefs around being who you are and the trigger for others, and transmute it to a space where you can hold more power and strength in your relationship to power, and being the difference, and how you want to choose to show up in those spaces so that you have a more loving, beautiful, graceful exchange with all people. Because it would not be fun to, I know, being the trigger, it's not fun when you are constantly coming up against conflict just because of who you are. That's not cool. We don't want that. That's not the point either. Sorry, I just got a bit off topic then.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we can
Thank
do
you
a
very
little
much.
bit of a clearing if you like. There was
Yes.
yeah, there's a little blessing that we can share just to really help everybody sort of up level their frequency when it comes to what they're allowing into their energetic field. Yeah. So just close your eyes and get really comfortable wherever you're sitting or laying. Allow the tension, the stress, the tightness within your body release. Taking in a slow, deep breath in through the nose, and really feel your belly rise as you inhale. Breathing out through the mouth, feel the belly fall. And just stay with that breath cycle. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, just slowing your breath right down. As you do that, I'm going to bring in the white flame. Brighter, 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 more intense. Bring in the healing temple. Light of God, light of home coming in, bringing all participants into the healing temple. More intense, brighter, 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 everybody in. Concentric circles of the light, brighter, 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 more intense, more intense, more intense. All contracts, those 1,000 agreements of fear consciousness, victim consciousness, fear of psychic attack. All entities and discarnates looking into the frequencies of fear, disintegrating them and expel. Everybody looking up. Come on, up, 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 up. Everybody looking up, up. Spinning that out 11 times the speed of light, more intense, brighter, brighter, brighter. Bringing in the opalescent karmic flame, more intense, brighter, 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 brighter. And so I invite you at this point, any area of your life, any relationship, any aspect where there is conflict, where there is discord, have energy coming at you that is either negative, attacking, low vibrational, or just disruptive. Allowing it to really come forward, feeling it in your body. Where are you feeling it in your body? Let it come present. Let it allow it to come into your awareness of where you are holding this frequency within your being. What part of you is inviting this exchange into your experience? Piercing through all levels of consciousness, subconsciousness, unconsciousness, through the conscious mind. Brighter, 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 opening up the ajna, more intense, brighter, 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 brighter. Opening up the sacral, brighter, 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 more intense, flooding the solar plexus, brighter, 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 bringing the light of God, light of home, electric violet light, flooding through the front and back. Disintegrate, eliminate, expel, all that it can just terminate energy, more intense, more intense, more intense. And without judgment, without guilt, without shame, just letting it be there. And with whatever space you have within yourself, I just want you to hold compassion, hold forgiveness for this, how you've received this energy, how you've received yourself in this exchange. And then recognizing the other party and how they're showing up in this exchange. And with as much as you can muster, just feeling into the compassion for their wounding, regardless of the fact that it's being projected at you. Just holding space, holding compassion for their hard thoughts and their hard feelings, all of their wounding, their trauma. And within you and within yourself, you can say, thank you for this exchange. But I no longer wish to learn about myself through this connection. I release you, I release you, I release you. And just feel that energy falling out of you, feeling all of the cords release, or cords, attachments, and addictions to these frequencies. Release, 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 release. Spinning that out, 11 to the speed of light, more intense, more intense, more intense, more intense, brighter, 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 brighter. And we're going into the heart chamber. I just want you to bring your awareness into your heart space. Holding compassion for yourself in learning these lessons about yourself and about this other person in these ways. Going deeper into your compassion, deeper into your forgiveness as much as you can. And we're just going to highlight all the cords, all the hooks, or the attachments, all the addictions, all the cords, lighting it up, lighting it up, lighting it up into the heart chamber, brighter, brighter, brighter behind the heart. Releasing all contracts, 1,000 agreements. Lighting up the ancestral stream, lighting up the life stream, bada. All energetic exchanges, connections, contracts between these two beings. Between all parties. Release. Letting up all addictions, letting up all addictions to these frequencies, these connections, these relationships. All addictions to these release. Getting that out, more intense speed of light, more intense, bringing in the electric violet light, flooding the front and back heart chakra with the electric violet light, flooding the solar plexus, all lower emotional energy, all dark, dirty energy out. The galactic vacuum. Bringing that out, more intense speed of light, more intense, brighter. When you're ready, I want you to follow along internally. You can say this silently within your being. I ask the karmic board and Sophia God to fill my aura and all levels of my being with infinite divine light. So much so that no negativity, attack, projection, or evil can enter, exist, or remain in my energy or my being now. And you can feel or sense, visualize a beam of light coming out through your crown into the seventh plane of consciousness. And you will instantly feel or just sense or know that divine downpour flooding your whole system through all levels of time, space, dimensions, and realities, flooding your whole being with light, just letting it pour through that central column of light out through your feet, through the base, anchoring into Mother Earth. Holding the intention to learn through love, learning through compassion, through grace, through peace and harmony, with self-awareness, self-responsibility, spiritual maturity, emotional maturity. And just bringing your awareness back to your breath, taking a long, slow, deep breath in through the nose. Really feeling your belly rise as you inhale. And breathing out through your mouth. And when you're ready, you can rejoin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sarah, for the process. It was a really beautiful one. And yeah, also everyone would love to hear your feedback. You can type it on the chat boxes, Zoom or YouTube. And yeah, it's really, I believe it's a very helpful process that's, if we can listen to it again, or once we learn it, we can practice that whenever we feel that sense connection with someone or some energetic
Yeah.
chords. Yeah.
Even that paragraph that we did at the end there, that is a really, if you're really struggling with psychic attack, that's actually a super easy, powerful one to repeat often to flood your energy and really fill it, make it strong so that it deflects. Because that's really, I think I've shared before, protection isn't about arming up and having a ton of armor on to protect ourselves. It's actually about owning our power, our light, our divine power, our divine love, our divine light, and letting that be the power, letting that be the defense. That just, again, transmutes and floats above all other frequencies. There is nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can feel that in our body, because when we are more into defense, like it feels really tense in the body. But when it's more about love, it's we feel more grounded. We just know our true power. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
effortless. It's effortless. It's light. It's you're right. Like when we do go into defense mode or protection, it feels heavy. It feels hard. We can't maintain it. Whereas our power and our light, we can maintain and conscious breathing at that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Grace profound process. There's no room for evil with divine light within. Heather, thank you so much. Very powerful and helpful. And yeah. So also now I would love if you can tell us about the program you are offering. So you're offering a 60 minutes one-on-one energy clearing session, and there is also a December collective clearing. It's a 3 sessions bundle. There's one recording I recorded today, and 2 are coming live on December 12th and 19th, and then there is subliminal meditation. And I invite everyone to follow us on the page, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, SARAH, or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. So yeah, Sarah, I would love if you can tell us about this program.
Yes, thank you. The one-on-one private sessions are, I know there's a few people that I've connected with recently who are really struggling with some psychic attacks. So those sessions are great to really get to the root of what's happening within this exchange and what part are you showing up with or contributing to, so that we can heal that within you and then actually just really remove those interferences and release the attachments that are held within the beings. Sometimes, there can be a power pact. It might not even just be one person. It could be actually a team of people. And that's usually like off planet or past life stuff that's getting triggered there. You may feel that you've got a curse. I know people love talking about curses, and whilst they're not as super common, they are actually more common than I even thought. I've come across a few, and it's always fascinating with the curses. It's actually not me that removes it, it's the divine. So when I touch the curse, it's like heavy. It's really, really heavy. Whereas then these crows, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's these birds that just come in and take this incredibly heavy weight off. And it's always fascinating to watch. But generally people know, you just know, you've got a vibe, you've got a sense of when you've got a curse. So private sessions are always great for that. But anything you want to work on that you really want to sort of burrow into or focus on too, or really there can be a few things that we can get through in a 1-hour session. They're great for. And the December clearings, so yes, we had the depression clearing this morning, which was phenomenal. So that recording is good to go right now. If you were to purchase that package, you'd get it straight away. You can attend the live recordings for the anxiety and the control clearings. So that's anyone really struggling with anxiety. We're going to do a nice, beautiful clearing on releasing those frequencies. And the clearing session is going to work on, the control clearing is going to work on the underpinning frequencies that create the need or the desire to have control, which is usually trauma and feeling unsafe. We're wanting to control the controllables, or we're actually people just want to control everything. But we learn that we can only control the controllers, which is actually just us. There's nothing outside of us that we can control. So it's learning how to show up in that process, and again, developing our relationship to self so that we can manage our energy with more ease and grace, so that we can sort of show up in life with more joy, because I feel like control is just the killjoy of joy. So so you still have the opportunity to attend live to those 2 clearings, but if you can't or you don't, I had a lot of people today who purchased the depression but didn't actually attend live because they'll get the recording, which is honestly just as powerful. Even, the replay of today's podcast, when you do those clearings, it's just as powerful as the live. So, and then we also have the subliminal meditation, which I think I've done the I am safe in vulnerability again, which really, so I chose that for this particular podcast because it really does help shift victim consciousness. Victim consciousness is there because we feel powerless and we feel helpless, and we are so disconnected from who we are. And that happens because we feel unsafe. We are unsafe, therefore we give our power away. It's this interesting exchange. So power in vulnerability, or feeling safe in vulnerability, allows you to have your hard feelings. It actually creates space within you to do the work, to have a look at your shadow aspects, to sit with all the things that make you feel uncomfortable and be okay with it, that they're there even. It's not, do you know what I mean? The healing process would then help you do something with that. But so many people really struggle to connect into themselves or do the healing work because we've got all of these fears and blocks and resistances and the ego and all the things that we feel we need to have for protection. It releases all of that so that you can come into a deeper connection with who you are and your hard feelings, so that you can start to release it. And feeling safe is a big part. That's a fundamental block, a fundamental foundation, I should say, in accessing more power and showing up in a more empowered state, particularly if you're dealing with psychic attack. So I think they're the 3 packages, yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah, for offering the packages, for being available through the one-on-one session. And as you mentioned, the experience can be personal, and it can go deep into the clearings. And also thank you for the group sessions, which can, like you mentioned, really, they can really hold the energy, whether you can attend live or on the replay, and plus the meditations. So really love your work and your message, and so yeah, feel really honored to share your work with our audience. So thank you again for sharing your support with us. And again, everyone, I invite you to sign up for one of these packages, or if you prefer more than one, you can do that on the link yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, SARAH. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description, and the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And so thank you very much, Sarah, for the time you spent with us today, for everything you shared. So it was really, really powerful call. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone who came along. And I hope you enjoy, and reach out if you have any questions. It's been really lovely to connect with you and everyone.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you again, Sarah, and also everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing with us your energies, your questions, comments, and so with that, I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next call. Bye for now.